Yes, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Yeah, thanks to all of you who saw my Q&A with Sean Atwood the other night. It was very well. I thought it went well. You can still see it. It's on Sean Atwood's channel, True Crime. Have a look. Also, the big interview I did with him, that's there as well. So, absolutely do have a look. Sean Atwood's True Crime channel. I talked a little day about people's have been making certain statements about my input on this channel. I'm happy to answer questions, absolutely, and there will be another Q&A session with me personally on the first Tuesday of December. That's next month. In the meantime, I did a Q&A with Sean Atwood. You can see that. But if you've got any real questions you want to put to me, you can put them in the comments below and I will answer. Certain people have been making statements saying, I had somebody wrote a review on Amazon for my book, my book HMP Manchester Prison Officer. You can get that on Amazon. Just Google my name into Amazon, John G. Sutton. But somebody put a comment on there saying, I was a prison officer at the same time in the same prisons as John Sutton, and I never saw anything like that. Sure, I can understand that. Walking around with your eyes shut, you won't see anything, will you? And that's the safe way to get through the job. It's not the way to do the job, but it's the one way to get through the job. You don't see no evil, you don't speak no evil. That's the way to do it, eh? Seriously, all you've got to do is open your eyes and it's there. The governors are playing with the Category A inmates, getting them to service them in the office. The chaplains are all sucking their dicks. It's one thing after another. And as for the Masons, if you can't see them, then you have definitely got your eyes closed. You've got a bag over your head because they're running the show. And as for the POA are the management. No doubt about that. I mean, open your eyes, boys. Have a look. And listen, people who say, oh, well, that never happened. It's the court record. Go and have a look. They had me in Knightsbridge Crown Court. They had me in Acton Magistrates Court. Hauled me over the coals. What for doing? Because I wasn't going to accept their bullying tactics. And I wasn't going to just shut my eyes and allow them to get along with it. I mean, when I was at the Scrubs, at one point, one of the inmates came in late at night and told me about this armed robbery he'd been involved in. Oh, it was absolutely brilliant, boss. We got them in the back, we tied them all up, we had shotguns and we had warrant cards, we told them we were the police and then we tied them up, got them in the back, and I thought, this guy's got to be joking. He's drunk, and he was drunk actually. But anyway, the following day when I was going back home in the morning, this was Saturday night, on the Sunday morning I was walking home and I saw a newspaper stand and I got myself a copy of I look at the headlines and it said armed robbery in the West End. So I got that one and I took it home and I read it, and I think it was a Sunday Mirror, and it was about an armed robbery at a place called the Jean Junction on Oxford Road in London, and the account given was very, very similar to the account that this inmate had given to me in the hostel at Wormwood Scrubs when he came in late on the Saturday night. Now the press don't go to press till about 2 o'clock in the morning to press the papers, so there was no way that he'd read it in the papers, and it was obvious to me, that he was telling me what he'd been up to. So I contacted the police. I didn't contact the duty security officer at Wormwood Scrubs because I knew the man to be a totally ineffectual dickhead who was so far up his own arse that he couldn't see the light. A lot of staff like that. Some of them will be leaving me reviews. But listen, I didn't contact him, which it was my supposed duty to do. But the reason I didn't contact him because I had previously told him that I'd been prevented from searching certain Category A cells and IRA cells on D Wing by the staff, by the principal officer in charge of the wing, prevented me from doing my duty. And he just said, oh, well, go and search some other cells then. I said, well, what about that? I said, obviously there's a reason for it. No, there's not. He said, you just leave that. Now, that was the head of security for Wormwood Scrubs. What use is that? As much use as a chocolate fireguard. Yeah? So there was no point in me reporting to him, so I reported it to West End Central CID. And me and the Sweeny went in to the hostel and searched it. And when we got there, because I'd had to alert them that we were going to arrive, the hostel was empty. Empty completely, not an inmate in there at 11 a.m. in the morning, Sunday morning. But 15, 20 inmates in the hostel, not one in there. All of them had booked out from 10:30 when I contacted and told them that we were going to arrive with West End Central CID, Serious Crime Squad, that's the Sweeny. And between me doing that and arriving, all the inmates had been gone out. And who was stood at the door but the principal officer in charge of security for Wormwood Scrubs. And he said to the chief inspector in charge of the Sweeny, he said, I'm sorry, he said, you will not be allowed to search the hostel today. He said, because it is the policy of the prison department that we do not search inmates' belongings unless they are present, and there are no inmates present currently in the hostel. And the chief inspector in charge of the flying squad said to him, if you don't get out of my fucking way, I'm going to stick you in the back of the van and arrest you for obstructing the police. And he said to me, Mr. Sutton, will you show us the way in? Well, of course he'd locked it all up. So I hadn't got a key for it, so I just kicked the door off. This is not a cell, by the way. This is an office. You know, it was like a hostel. It's still there at the front of the Scrubs. You can see it. Just go through the gates. It's on your left, a big building. It's not used as a hostel now, I don't believe, but it certainly was in 1975 when I was there. And that's what happened. And people say, well, I never saw anything like that. Well, of course you wouldn't. You just walk around in a dream. Just take your money and it's boring as hell. I know it's boring because you ain't doing your job. You know why you ain't doing your job, lads? Because to do your job is dangerous. Believe me. And if you do your job, where do you end up? Where I ended up, in court, beaten and attacked. Why? Because it's being run by the Masons, by the Brotherhood, by the people who are being paid by the real robbers. Anyway, that's my little rant for today. You can read my book. It's The God's Honest Truth. You just Google me, have a look me up. BBC documentaries, World in Action, Panorama, you name it, I've done it. Yeah, and I haven't done it for publicity. I've done it because the public needs to know what the truth is. And the truth is that the jails are being run, or they certainly were being run, by a brotherhood that was there perpetrating their misdeeds and protecting their fellow Masons. And there'll be more books to come and more information on Sean Atwood's channel and indeed here on Tales from the Jails. I'm now going to, it's that time of day, but you could deserve this, you know. Ah, it's a song dinger, folks. Yeah. Oh, by the way, people who saw the Sean Atwood Q&A, and I said I was going to court on Friday. Today is Friday. Yeah, and guess what? I was at court. And they had the audacity. Seriously, I wrote to them and said I would like you to produce the witness to say that I actually did this. That they said I'd broke the speed limit, done 36 miles an hour in a 30-hour zone. So I wrote to them a nice letter saying, I require you to produce your witness and I do not accept his statement. So when we got to court, there was the prosecution and he read out all his documents and all his statements and all that. And they said, how do you plead? I said, not guilty. And so I took the oath. And they had the audacity to say to me, what makes you say that you're not guilty? And the answer was, I am an Englishman. I have just sworn that I am telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God, and I did not exceed the speed limit. That is my defence, and you are required to prove me guilty. And what you've done, what have you done? I said, we've got the prosecutor here, the lawyer, acting for the prosecution service, who has read a statement, but I can't test that evidence. It is my absolute right, under the rules of evidence, to test this, and unless you produce the witnesses to corroborate the evidence, then I can't test it, because I can't ask the lawyer questions. You have been handed a bunch of documents from the people who have signed them saying that they witnessed this. So I want to question them. Do you know what he said? He said, the initial one that you've requested to see, he is just a process. He just processes the actions. I said, so what you've done is you've got somebody to sign a false statement to say that they're witnessing this. I said, now you're starting to see why I require your witnesses in the witness box, because they're telling lies, aren't they? You've just admitted that. Well, the prosecution didn't know what to say. They actually said, well, no, it was originally by a police officer who saw that. Right. Well, where is the police officer? The magistrates, I said to the magistrates, I request that this case be dismissed. The prosecution have produced no evidence, no witnesses. I cannot test the evidence. Under the rules of evidence, I am entitled to question them, and there is nobody here for me to question, just the lawyer who is presenting what amounts to hearsay evidence. And they said, well, we are going to adjourn it, and they said, do you require the police officer to attend? The answer being, I am the defendant. I am not acting for the prosecution. If the prosecution wish to call the police officer, by all means. But it is not for me to call the witnesses for the prosecution. I just will not accept written evidence that's not even signed and presented in a manner that I don't agree with. I believe it's completely and utterly disingenuous. And at that point, the prosecution jumped up. I object to being referred to like this. So, well, I didn't start it. This is a criminal trial, and I am an innocent man. I'm an Englishman. It's been adjourned until the 9th of January, when they're going to call 2 witnesses. They charged me with doing 36 miles an hour in a 30-hour zone. If everybody had the nerve to do what I'm doing, it would stop all this nonsense. They've turned my Lancashire, where I live, into a panopticon. It's like a bloody prison. We can't have that. Come on, lads. Stand up for yourself. Anyway, I've rung the ding-dong-dinger. And now I'm going to sing you a song, but I'm going to sing it and discuss it at the same time, because I actually think that this is a very strange song that needs to be examined. Are you sitting comfortably? Well, I'm going to bollocks that for you. This is a song originally sung by Johnny Ray, also sung by Nat King Cole. It's Walking My Baby Back Home. Stand by for action. Gee, but it's great after being out late, walking my baby back home. Arm in arm over meadow and farm, walking my baby back home. We go along harmonizing a song, oh, I'm reciting a poem. Owls go by, they give me the eye, walking my baby back home. Stop there. I've been out many times taking beautiful ladies out before I got married. Take my wife out now. I have yet to go walking home over meadow and farm. Have you walked over a meadow? There's bloody great clods of earth. There's pits, there's holes, there's lumps, there's muck, there's cow claps. And when you come to a farm, what are you going to get? Pig muck, hen muck. you're going to get dogs barking, it's slutchy as buggery, and there he is, according to this song, walking his baby back home. And not only that, I mean, what kind of a bloke is this? What sort of shoes were they wearing? I mean, if they'd been out on the tiles, you'd been out on the night, a night out, a couple of beers, then you maybe go for a meal. But then, unless you're wearing hiking boots, you're not going to go over the meadow. You certainly wouldn't go walking through farms. And then he says, what does he say? He's harmonising a song and he's reciting a poem. What kind of a bloke is this? I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vale and hill, when all at once I... Oh, that bloody cow clap there. Yeah, give over. Anyway, let's go on, see where we're going. We stop for a while, she gives me a smile and snuggles her head on my chest. We start to pet, and that's when I get her talcum all over my vest. Does not wearing a shirt? What kind of a man is this? First he's walking us through sludge, mud, farm, cow claps, then he's starting to give her a kiss, and he isn't even wearing a shirt and a tie. He's wearing a vest. And what kind of stuff is she covered with? He said she's got what is it, talcum all over her face? What's going on? And let's continue. After I kind of straighten my tie, she has to borrow my comb. Once kiss and then continue again, walking my baby back home. So he's got a comb on him, yeah, and he's combing his hair, and then she wants to borrow. I should think so. I mean, they're in the middle of the moors by this time. It's late at night. We've already established right at the beginning. They're staying out late. It's bloody midnight. It could be pissing it down raining, and she's combing her hair. It's starting to get very concerning, this. I mean, who does she know him? She's afraid of the dark, so I have to park outside of her door till it's light. She says if I try to kiss her, she'll cry. I dry her tears all through the night. She's obviously fragile, eh? And where's he says he's going to park? Well, he starts off when he's walking. Suddenly he's got a car. Now, where has he got this car from? Has he stolen the car? Has he borrowed the car? Has he hired the car? It's outside of her door till it's light. I mean, why? Why not just open the door and go in, have a cup of coffee? Hand in hand to a barbecue stand, right from a doorway we roam. Eats and then it's pleasure again, walking my baby back home. So they've gone out of the car now. She's gone to a barbecue stand. What a barbecue stand? I mean, it must be one of these hot dog stands. I mean, that's treating a lady, right, innit, yeah? Let's go and have a treat. I don't know, we'll have one of these hot dogs at one of these. You'll end up with bad guts. I've had them. They give you the galloping trots, eh? And then up to her door, and it's pleasure again. What kind of pleasure? She won't kiss you. She starts to cry. This is a very seriously mixed up song. Walking my baby back home. I don't mean maybe. Walking my baby back home. Yeah, seriously deranged, yeah. If I tried my wife, taking her on the moors, yeah, walking her through a farm, what do you think she'd do? She wouldn't go, would she? I mean, and if you go somewhere like that, listen, don't do it. Highly recommended. Anyway, sincerely, I hope you enjoyed that little bit. This is Tales from the Jails. And don't forget, if you read my book. Yeah, leave me a nice review. And don't forget, if you've been in the prisons and you haven't seen anything like I've seen, there could be a reason for that. You could be looking in another direction. I wasn't. I had my eyes wide open, not eyes wide shut. See you.